Hello and welcome to today's FME webinar. My name is Mary O'Brien and I'm a consultant here at Spatial, specialising in the FME product set. And today I wanted to give you an introduction to using the FME products for business intelligence. So gaining intelligence from your data using FME. Just to say also that today's webinar is by recording also. So here's something I think we can all agree on, and that's a good decision is based on knowledge. But sometimes we can have too much information, and that makes the decision making difficult. And that's where really this intelligence becomes a factor. So here's the agenda for today. We're going to start with some background on Spatial, explain what FME is, and then talk a little bit about business intelligence before we look at some examples. So a little background on ourselves here at Spatial. We're a spatial solutions provider, and we have offices across the globe with our headquarters here in the UK in Cambridge. We work with customers within a number of key industry sectors, so utilities, transport and engineering, sort of all the different levels of government. We have as well a number of technology partners that we work with, and the one we're interested in here today is our partnership with Safe Software, and they're the producers of the FME product set. Safe Software are based in Vancouver, Canada, and they have a network of partners across the globe and a very large and active user community. Here at Spatial, we're a platinum partner of Safe Software, and we've been working with and reselling FME for quite a while now. We provide support for all of the FME products, and we have a team of skilled FME people, so we can help you with any FME related questions or problems that you might have. We provide training, we provide support through our support portal, and of course consultancy services on the FME product set. So if you're interested, or if you're having any problems in getting started with FME or with getting the most from your FME workflows, then please do get in touch with us. It's fme@onespatial.com, and I'm pretty sure that we can help you out. So for those of you that are new to it, we'll start with a very brief introduction to FME. What is it? Well, it's a really powerful tool for managing and manipulating your data. FME stands for Feature Manipulation Engine. And really that's the best way to think about it. It's a processing engine for data that lets you convert data between hundreds of different formats. So if your data is stored in databases or flat files, it doesn't matter. FME can help you get your data from one system to another. It's also a fantastic data transformation tool, so you can do all sorts of transformations. Maybe you want to change the structure of your data, or you want to calculate some values, or do some geometric calculations, or pull together just data sets from multiple sources. That's all possible with FME. And there are a number of products in the FME family that we can utilize. So first off, we've got FME Desktop, and that gives you FME, your ETL solution on your desktop machine. So this is what it looks like. This is where we build our data processing workflows, and it's the workhorse of the family, if you like. It's got a nice, user-friendly interface. You don't need any coding skills, and you can build and run some, very powerful, repeatable workflows here. So this is where we would build our logical workflows to read our business data. They could be coming from multiple different data sources, files, databases, sensors, and then we could calculate different metrics and KPIs to understand and interpret that data. And because it's repeatable, when the source data changes, we can simply reprocess it using the same workflow, and we get new intelligence. Next, we've got FME Server, and this really allows you to automate those data workflows on an enterprise level. So either running them on a schedule or by using notifications. So our business workflow, could be running at the end of the month, say, or running in response to an event, to a change in the data, for example. And with FME Server, you can have multiple data processing engines. So you can have multiple jobs or workflows running, processing data in parallel. So constantly running, constantly processing data, constantly recalculating and updating our intelligence. And finally, with FME Cloud, you're getting the capability of FME Server, but in a hosted cloud environment. So you have all of the data processing power, but additional benefits from a managed service like cloud security. You've got no maintenance, you pay for what you use, and so on. So, it can be a really good fit for customers in lots of different scenarios. So if you're interested, please get in touch, and we can advise you on different options. Okay, so today we're talking about business intelligence, BI. What is it? Well, it's a term that's used to describe the technologies, the applications, the practices used to gather intelligence from business information. So we're talking about data, lots and lots of data, and the tools that we use for analysing and interpreting that data. Sounds like a job for FME. Exactly. So BI systems are essentially data-driven decision support systems. Their purpose is to support better informed business decisions. So, they need to review all the data, crunch all the numbers, and present actionable information to the end user, the person who's making those decisions. So here I've borrowed a graphic from Power BI, which is Microsoft's new shiny BI tool. But business intelligence systems have actually been around quite a long time. And online analytic processing is the technology behind most BI applications, and that's been around since the 1980s, really. It's multi-dimensional analysis of data, and it's this that has made complex calculations, trend analysis, and all sorts of sophisticated data modelling. It's made that possible. But more recently, we've got a growing set of technologies available for working with data. So whether it's capturing data in real time or capturing the location element, and smartphones actually have been instrumental as sensors really in a lot of this. But there have been developments in data mining that help us search through the oceans of data. And of course, advances in visualization techniques and technologies. So dashboards, displaying up-to-the-minute information seem to be everywhere at the moment. Whether, it's the support desk where you work or just your McDonald's order at lunchtime. We seem to be surrounded by data and dashboards at the moment. And there's a data explosion happening right now. So some sources reckon we've generated 90% of the world's data in just the last 2 years. So finding ways to handle that data and make sense out of it is very relevant today. And we've seen lots of new business intelligence tools aiming to do just that. But rather than needing an expert analyst like back in the old days, these are mostly self-service tools enabling everyone to gather intelligence from their data. And there are lots of new toys to play with. Listed some of them here. I guess Power BI from Microsoft is probably the major player, but you've got others like Tableau and Click, that work really well with GIS data. I guess is our speciality. And actually this is a really useful website if you're looking into different dashboarding tools, so maybe check that out. But I've put Excel and HTML on here also, as actually you can achieve a lot really with the humble Excel workbook. And that's the first example we're going to take a look at today. So with Excel, you can store your dashboard in a worksheet as a template, and then use tables, functions, charts on the dashboard that reference the data. So then when your data changes, your dashboard updates. And there are lots and lots of resources online, and even ready-made templates that you can use. So here's our example. I've got some sales transaction data, and we've made a simple dashboard here in Excel to display some key information. So some charts, tables showing sales per month, sales per rep, performance against targets, and so on. I guess the key thing I found when I was working on this was that I needed to generate additional worksheets to store the derived data, so that the charts and the tables, those elements on the dashboard, so that they would display in the way I wanted. So you can see here the additional worksheets. And in FME, those additional worksheets appear here on the right as feature types. So on my workspace, I've got on the left hand side, I'm reading some sales data from the CSV file, and then those outputs, those additional worksheets, are my feature types on my Excel writer. And the Excel writer is using my dashboard Excel file as a template. So you set this in the settings, and then we're simply pouring the data in. So all of the functions, all the charts that are on that dashboard worksheet, they'll remain populated, and they'll just update to reflect the new data. Something I found interesting in doing this was to aggregate the data for the additional worksheets, I effectively needed to pivot the data. So, something that Excel is really great at, but it's not so obvious in FME how to do this. So I came up with two methods. So first one here, where I'm generating sales per month, I use lists. So I used a list builder to build a list per month. So then each month has its 2019 and 2020 sales data associated with it. And then I summed these using the list summer to give me the data that I needed, just down the bottom. To get the sales per person, I used a different method. So instead I used the attribute pivoter transformer. It's been around a few years. So here I grouped the rows by person and the columns by year, and then gathered together the sum. And again, that gave me the aggregated data that I needed, so in the syntax that I wanted. So really either method works. And finally, there were some settings that you need to make use of on the writer feature types. So these represent the worksheets in the Excel file, and you need to ensure that you insert data into an existing sheet. That existing sheet needs to be truncated, but you must not drop the sheet, because if you do that, then you'd remove all your dashboard references. So fairly obvious, but just pointing out where to set these settings. And you'll see also that there are options for specifying particular cells to populate, and this can be useful if you're using some of the online Excel template resources. So that's where you can do that. And here are just some of the examples I came across. There's lots and lots online, some of them really quite nice graphics and so on. But basically with Excel and a little bit of knowledge, you can really achieve quite a lot. Next up, we've got an example using some simple HTML. So I've got basically a simple web-based dashboard, just a HTML file, and here it's showing events or incidences recorded at a call center. In fact, this was a proof of concept from a little while ago, so we built this completely using FME. So essentially we read the live incidents database on the left hand side, we generate the dashboard elements, which is all this middle bit here, and then we write out a HTML file. And the key transformer here is the HTML report generator. And that's what I'm using to create the charts, the tables, all of the different elements that appear on the dashboard. And there's one of these transformers for each dashboard element. And then I'm using the HTML layouter transformer, and that's to arrange their placement on the web page, so my dashboard. And then final step, well, I've published the dashboard to an Amazon instance, so an S3 bucket, so that it's live. And then that workflow, this FME workflow, runs on FME Server on quite a quick schedule, so every 10 minutes or so. So that's updating the dashboard with incident information as it happens or as it gets recorded into the database. The dashboard will update. And a final step was to use a refresh tool in the web browser, just to ensure that the dashboard stays current. So this one, Easy Auto Refresh, it's free. You can find it on the Chrome store, and it works really well. So you just set the refresh interval, and then your page updates at that interval. So basically, without any commercial BI tools, just using your FME products, you've got a really useful dynamic dashboard that's easy for everyone to access. Next example, this is one from one of my colleagues on the support desk, and he's used FME to monitor the support caseloads. So he's used FME to take the data from Salesforce, manipulate it, and then output JSON to Screenly, which he is running on a Raspberry Pi device. And this is what it looks like. So it's on display screens in the office. And Screenly has an open source edition and an API to interact with. So that's what's been used here. The main challenge actually was in getting it to run efficiently. So each element of the dashboard, each widget, was a single Salesforce query. And this was the bottleneck in FME, as the workflow needed to be running continuously or almost continuously. And the solution was to store the dashboard definition in an XML file and then send a single complex query to Salesforce. So the workspace itself is quite involved, but the important piece here, so he reads the XML dashboard definition and then sends a single complex query to Salesforce, and then that returns all the data that's required. And then at the end builds a giant JSON file, and that's what gets sent to Screenly. So just another example where you can use FME to manage and manipulate your data to fit whatever your dashboarding or intelligence tools might be. But if you do have access to some of the nice self-serve business intelligence tools we mentioned earlier, then FME can help you here too. So here we've got Tableau, it displays spatial and non-spatial data in a really nice, aesthetically pleasing layout. We've got a map, different metrics, it's color-coded, it's all dynamic and updates as you interact with it, it's great. So like all the self-serve BI tools, you can create a dashboard quite easily and you can share it with your colleagues. So it's a really useful tool. And it's the same with Power BI. Microsoft's offering, another lovely interactive dashboard with maps and charts and KPIs that you can create and share relatively easily. But it's all about the data for us, right? Well, the data support on these tools is growing. Tableau can connect to lots of different data sources. You've got, your usual Excel and CSV files, but also like some common databases, some online offerings. It's pretty comprehensive. And similarly, Power BI, it's got support for a growing number of data sources. But the key point I want to make really is that for any of these BI tools, they need the data being input to be structured in a particular way. So Tableau have the data interpreter tool, Power BI have their Power Query tool, and they can go some way in prepping the data, getting it into the required syntax. But from what I understand, they can be a bit limited if your data set doesn't conform to some expected structures, and they can be a bit difficult to use if you're not familiar with coding. But this is where FME can help. So if your data is in some format that Tableau or Power BI or any of the others don't support, then come online and check the FME formats gallery. There's over 500 formats supported. They're all listed here, and you can search and see if your special file is supported. Another idea is the humble text file reader. It can be a powerhouse. You can leverage it to get a dump of your data, the text, just into a workflow, and then you can use all the transformers you need just to parse the real data from it. So that can be a hidden gem really. If Tableau is your BI tool of choice, then there's a Tableau writer in FME that you can use, as well as a number of custom transformers that are available via the FME Hub. So that can help with your data management for Tableau. For Power BI users, then FME has support for many of the Microsoft data sources, Excel, PowerPoint, Word, connectors for OneDrive, Azure. So basically just type Microsoft onto the FME canvas and you'll start to see the list of options available to you. And just one final example showing this, so using FME to prepare the data for, in this case, Tableau. So here we were working with a construction company, and they use Tableau to monitor contractor input on projects. So they use metrics and KPIs to understand how contractors were adhering to their schema and the rules that they'd set specific to this construction. So we helped them build an FME workflow to validate the content they received, and then output the results for display in their Tableau dashboard. So these were just some of the validation checks. It's all automated within FME. And prior to the project, over 50 IFC files were being manually validated each week. Obviously, it wasn't very accurate because different staff validated data slightly differently, and it was also extremely labour intensive. So using FME, they've been able to automate it, standardize it, and reduce the associated effort and cost. So just some final thoughts to close. Data is everywhere and it is exploding at the moment. But lots more data doesn't necessarily mean better decision making. So we need to process and interpret that data, and that's where business intelligence tools can really offer us some insight. There's a plethora of self-service BI tools around, meaning that it's easier than ever before to handle the data we're generating. Everyone can have a dashboard, basically. What can FME do? Well, FME can help to generate your dashboard, as we've seen, or FME can help with preparing the data for input to your preferred BI dashboarding tool. Or just generally any data processing, you need it continuous or otherwise, FME can help. So that's it from me for today. Here are some links to references you might find useful. If you download the webinar afterwards, you can see them. And just a final note to tell you that we should be running some virtual FME World Tour events this year in light of the present situation. So you can join us online for 2 half-hour sessions. They're on Wednesday the 6th and Wednesday the 13th of May. If you've already registered for our previous planned events, then you will need to re-register, so please do so. Just go to the website and sign up, and we'll speak with you soon. Thank you.